Hello friends, welcome to the channel. In this video, we will be continuing our discussion on critical reasoning questions. We will be discussing some more exercises on critical reasoning. So for the people who are watching this channel for the first time, please go and watch the critical reasoning basics video first so that you will get an understanding regarding the basic concepts. Only then this will make sense to you. Otherwise, you might have some problems in understanding why a particular option is correct and another option is wrong. So let us dive into the questions immediately. So the first question, I'll give you some time to read, then we will discuss the answers. Okay, you have a fact and an argument which is based on the fact. What is a fact? The fact is that the City of London imposed strict regulations on local industries to control air pollution, and the number of bird species seen in London has increased dramatically. This is the fact. And what is the argument made by the author on the basis of this fact? Similar air pollution rules should be imposed in other major cities. This is the argument. So this part is the fact, and the final sentence is the argument. Now our objective is to find an assumption made in the argument. So we have to find a assumption or what the author is assuming while making this argument. So assumption is an unstated fact which is supporting the stated fact, and that leads to the conclusion or argument. This we have seen in the previous video. So a lot of assumptions are made by the author. We have to find something that is not a good assumption. So we have to find something which is not a good assumption. Other things are all the other things are a good assumption. So we will go through the options one by one. Option A, in most major cities, air pollution problems are caused almost entirely by local industry. So here it says that why the author is arguing that this kind of air pollution rules should be imposed in other cities, because other cities are also having the same problem of air pollution because of local industry. So that is why it says that it is caused by the local industry. So that is why the author argues that such kind of rules should be imposed in other major cities. So apparently it looks like a good answer or a good assumption made by the author, but when you read it carefully, you will find that there is a small mistake here. What is the mistake? Air pollution problems are caused almost entirely. This is the problem. See, even in the case of London, the author is not saying that in London the total air pollution is because of the industry. He is only saying that because of some regulations made on the industries, the air pollution has reduced, as a result of which the number of birds are seen in and around London has increased. This is what he says. So even in the case of London, he is not saying that the almost all the entire air pollution is caused by industries. He says that industries might have been causing a significant amount of air pollution. That is why whenever any restrictions are placed on the industries, the air pollution has declined. So that is why in the case of other cities, he is not making the assumption that this almost entirely it is caused by local industries. So that is why this need not be a good assumption. There is a small weakness here in this particular assumption. So we will keep it as a likely answer because we need an exception. So when once we eliminate all the other options, if then we can come to this one. If we are able to find a better answer which is not an assumption at all, then we will go for that one. Option B, air pollution regulations on industry have a significant impact on the quality of the air. This is what he says, because he says that whenever you are making some regulations on industries, what is happening? The air quality is increasing or becoming better because of the being superior air quality. The number of bird species are increasing. So that is why this is a good assumption. He is making that assumption while making the argument. Since it is a good assumption, it is not our answer, because what we need is not a good assumption. Option C, the air pollution problems of other major cities are basically similar to those ones suffered by London. That is again correct. Why he is arguing that this same kind of rule should be imposed in other cities? Because he assumes that all the other cities are facing air pollution because of local industries like London. So that is why he says that since the problems are similar, the solutions also should be similar. So that is why this assumption also is also made by the author. So this is why it is not our answer, because we need an exception. Then option D, an increase in the number of bird species in and around cities is desirable. So why he is assuming that the air quality has improved? Because he is saying that the number of bird species has improved. So he is concluding that an increase in the number of bird species means air quality has improved, which is a desirable thing. So what if we need is a decrease in air pollution and increase in the air quality, and that is indirectly supported by the increase in the number of species. That is why increase in the number of bird species in and around the city is desirable. He is making this assumption that it is a desirable thing. So since this is an assumption, it is not our answer. Option E, the increased sightings of bird species in and around London reflect an actual increase in the number of species. So here also, what he is saying, he is saying that the number of bird species seen in and around London has increased. So when the number of bird species that are seen in and around London has increased, he is actually thinking that all those bird species are in London, in that area. That means these species have not come from outside London into that particular area. They are all native to that area. That is the assumption he is making. That is why he says that this kind of rule should be imposed in other cities. So he is again making this assumption that the in and around London reflect an actual increase in the number of species. So he is thinking that just because birds are seen in that area, they are actually residing in that area or living in that area. So this again is an assumption made by the author. Since it is an assumption, it is not our answer. So the only bad assumption, or the only assumption that is not a good one, is option A, because here the problem is, and almost entirely, this is not what the author is saying. The author is not assuming that the entire problem of air pollution is because of local industry, even in the case of London. Then how will he say that he will, in other cities also it is almost entirely by local industry? So since this is not a good assumption, it should be our answer, option A. Okay, go to the next one. All right, in this particular question, even the conclusion or argument is not given. You are only given certain facts, and it is left to you to find the conclusion or the argument. It is implied, not stated. So what are the facts? There was an experiment where two different types of recorded music were played to neonates. Who is a neonate? A newborn baby is known as a neonate. So two adjacent nurseries were there in a hospital. Nursery is a place where these newborn babies are kept, and in one particular nursery, classical music was played, another nursery, rock music was played, and it was found that the babies in nursery A, where classical music was played, their health improved, they cried less, suffered fewer diseases, and gained more weight. So basically it says that what is the you are only given certain facts, you need to make a conclusion on your own. So what is the conclusion or the argument in the passage? The argument is that classical music is better for the development of newborn babies than rock music. This is the argument which is inherent in the particular facts given here. So now what you have to find in evaluating the validity of the conclusion suggested by the experiment. So the conclusion is not given, it is suggested. So you have to derive the conclusion first, and then evaluating whether this is a good valid conclusion or not, which will be the most important thing to know. So you have to find a statement that validates the conclusion or supports the conclusion. In simple words, any statement that supports the conclusion in the passage that classical music is better for the development of newborn babies than rock music, that will be our answer. now going to the options. The option A, the musical preferences of the parents of the two groups of newborns. So it is bringing into consideration the preferences of the parents. So it is indirectly saying that the newborns are listening to particular kind of music because of their genetical influence. So if a parent is interested in classical music, obviously because of the genetic influence, the child or the baby might have been influenced by the classical music, so his growth is there. So if you consider this aspect, what is the meaning here? It means that the rock music or classical music is not exactly the reason. It is the genetics that is leading to the development. So that is not supporting our uh, conclusion. And one more reason is that it says that there are two different nurseries where different where a set of babies were kept. So how can you say that all the babies in one nursery are having parents who are having inclination to listen to classical music, and another group all the babies are having an inclination to listen to rock music? We cannot say that. So even if the babies have certain genetical leanings or traits towards a particular type of music, this may not be the reason that all the babies in a particular nursery developed their health because of that particular music. So that is why the musical preferences of the parents is not going to be a factor that will support our conclusion. So because it will weaken or distort our conclusion, it will confuse, or it will not be leading directly to the conclusion. So that is why this is not a good answer. Option B, whether the newborns in both nurseries were equally healthy and happy at the start of the experiment. Okay, this is what we call an initial condition. That means before the experiment, if all the babies in both the nurseries were equally healthy and happy, it means initial conditions were equal, then the experiment started. After the experiment, the babies in nursery A were better in health than babies in nursery B. Then what would be the reason? What babies in nursery had A were experiencing, which babies in nursery B were not experiencing, which is classical music. So that is why this is a good answer, because it clearly suggests that when all other things are equal, the babies in nursery A developed better health than babies in nursery A because of the classical music. So this statement will definitely validate the conclusion. So our question is to find a statement or find something that will be helping to validate the conclusion. So if we know that both the babies in both the nurseries were equally healthy and happy before the experiment, then after the experiment, one particular set of babies in nursery A were better than babies in nursery B, then obviously classical music would be the reason for that. So option B is a good answer. Keep it in your mind. Option C, whether loud rock music can damage the hearing of the newborns. Here we are not bothered about whether rock music can damage the hearing of the newborns or not. So this is why this is an irrelevant statement. It is not going to validate our conclusion in any way. Then option D, what the average weight of the neonates was before and after the experiment. So it is talking about again an initial condition where the weight of the neonates before and after the experiment in both the nurseries. If we know that, then we can initial condition again. If we know that, then we can clearly say that if the weight has improved, definitely that is because of the changes in the condition, which is classical music. So this also is a good answer. Option E, whether the music was played in the nurseries at all times or only at certain times. Even if the music was played at all times or only at certain times, this will be done in both the nurseries. So it is not that when one particular nursery music is played full time and another nursery music is played at certain times. The statement is not saying that. It is saying that whether the music is played in both the nurseries at the same time, at all times or at certain times. So whatever be the timing of the music, since it is we can assume that the timing will be similar in both the nurseries. Otherwise, the statement should specify that the timings in nursery A, the babies received the music, or the babies heard the music full time, and in nursery B they did not hear the music full time, or something like that. That is, if that is there, then this might have been considered. Since that is not there here, it is not going to validate our conclusion, because both the nurseries music might be either would have been played at all times or at certain times. So that is not going to validate our conclusion. So we have two statements which are validating, option B and option D. Now, when you have two good answers, what is the technique that you have to apply the best answer. And what is the best answer here? How do you find the best answer? It says that they were equally healthy and happy at the start of the experiment. So it is saying that initial condition where all the babies were equal in health and happiness. Here it is talking about only the average weight, means average weight is only a part of the health. So which option is giving you a better initial condition? It is option B, because it says that if you know that both the condition of the babies in both the nurseries, all the conditions, whether they were their health, their happiness, everything in the initial conditions, and after the experiment, when we measure all the things and they see the development, then we can clearly say that classical music is better than rock music. Whereas option D is talking only about the weight, which is only one aspect of the health. The other aspects are not considered. So this is why B is a better answer than D. D is not a wrong answer, but D is a not a better answer than B. So B should be the answer here, because it is we are asked which is the most important thing to know or the best statement. So here option B will be the best statement. Okay, now go to the next one. The same question or the same data, another question. So you need not read this part because it is the same. The fact part, the question you need to read, and the options. What is a hypothesis? A probable theory, or a theory that a theory that is probably true, which needs further testing and analysis to confirm it. It is called a hypothesis. All right, again the same thing. And what is the question here? What additional experimental data would support the theory that classical music is beneficial for the development of newborns? See here, you have to read the question carefully. Here the question is not about whether classical music is better than rock music for the development of newborns. There the question is only about whether classical music is beneficial to the development of newborns. So we need not bother about the comparison with the rock music. Here the question is only about whether classical music is beneficial for newborn babies. That's all. So once you have that in mind clearly, all the confusion regarding the options can be clearly eliminated, because option A is talking about neonates in a nursery where no music was played better than those in nursery B. So it says that there was a nursery where no music was played. Here they were better than those in nursery B. Again, it is talking about nursery B where rock music was played. So it is a comparison between no music and rock music. Our question is, what is the statement or what is the data that will help in supporting the thesis that classical music is development, so beneficial for the development. We are comparing the development of babies where no music was played with babies who heard rock music. So this is in no way going to help us in supporting this particular theory. So that is why you can ignore it. Option A, nursery A contained 15% more premature babies than nursery B. See, any comparison between A and B is irrelevant here, because our question is about classical music being beneficial for the development of newborn babies. This question is only talking about premature babies, more premature babies in nursery A than nursery B. So what this statement can mean? It means that even premature babies are getting more benefit out of classical music than rock music. So even premature babies are getting more benefit. They are developing better than premature babies who are listening to rock music. Our thesis here is classical music is beneficial to the development of newborns, not whether it is better than rock music or not. So that is why this also is not an answer. Option C, the newborns in nursery A cried less, suffered few main reasons, and gained weight than did newborns in a nursery with no music. So here it says that the babies are having a better health than babies who are not exposed to any kind of music. So this is why it says that classical music is beneficial for the development of newborns. So normally newborns are not exposed to any kind of music. So when you expose the newborn babies to classical music, their health is improving, their overall development is better than babies with who are not hearing any music. So this is why this option is clearly suggesting that classical music is beneficial for the development of newborns. So this could be your likely answer. Then keep it in your mind. Option D, the music played in nursery A was louder than that played in nursery B. Again, a comparison between A and B. Our task is not about whether it is louder or not louder. And again, our task is not to find out whether the music in nursery A, which is classical music, is better than rock music or not. We are not comparing anything about rock music. So again, not an answer. Option E, the ratio of nurses to newborns in nursery B was 1:4 and nursery A it was 1:6. So what this essentially means, it means that even with lesser number of nurses in nursery A, the babies develop than the babies in nursery B. Again, a comparison between nursery A and nursery B means again a comparison between classical music and rock music, which is not our question. Our question is to find the data that will support the hypothesis that classical music is beneficial for the development of newborns, means all newborns. So here this option is only talking about classical music being beneficial for the development of newborns versus rock music. So that is why this option, again, even though it seems like a good answer, because even with less number of nurses, the babies who are exposed to classical music developed better than those in rock music. So this seems like a good answer, but our hypothesis is not has got nothing to do with rock music. It is saying that it is beneficial for the development of newborn. So that is why option C, which says that babies who are generally not exposed to any music, when a set of babies are exposed to classical music, they developed better than those other babies. So that is why classical music is beneficial for the development of newborn. So C should be the answer. E is not the correct answer. So that is why C is the correct answer. This again is a tricky question. Most of you will, with the hangover of the previous one, you will miss the or he will be the crucial part here, that this question is not about rock music at all. It is only talking about the theory that classical music is beneficial for the development of newborns. So once you realize that, the answer is very simple, option C. So I hope this is this question was able to point out the fact on or the importance about reading the question carefully before jumping to the options and going for an answer. Okay, so I'm thinking of keeping the video short, so that is why only 3 questions. We'll come back with more videos. I hope you have found the content useful. If you have enjoyed the content, please like, share, and subscribe, and come back for the future videos. Thank you. Bye bye.